Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm the Blundering Bishop, and welcome to another game here, 15 plus 10 game on chess.com. Sorry for the short break since our last video. Just took some time off for Christmas, followed by getting back into work after Christmas. So we're just getting back to recording some rapid videos. Rating took a bit of a hit over Christmas, didn't play particularly well, so we've got a bit of a setback, but here we go, trying to get some of those points back against Roman BV, 1064 from Russia. Okay, e4. Yeah, e5. Hope you're all enjoying watching the Tartar Steel chess. I think it's day 6 after the rest day today. Maybe day 5. Okay, interesting move. What is our opponent up to? The Wayward Queen attack. Interesting. No idea what this is. Right, I think, should we just play a developing move? Is there some sort of mate coming if we don't? I don't know what this is. I think we'll just try to win a tempo on that queen. Oh, I see. Interesting. The kiddie counter gambit. Never heard of any of this. Got no idea what's happening right now. Does this offer a queen trade? I'm completely lost. Interesting. One to look up afterwards. I've got no idea if this is good or if I've made some terrible mistake. I mean, the only thing that I can see here is... Oh, they did trade. Okay. So I've got to recapture. Obviously going to recapture with the bishop. I assume they'll now look to support their central pawn. So that leaves black up a pawn, interestingly. But we've castled, and we could castle now. Do we want to, or do we just want to develop? We could double attack there, but that... yeah, that doesn't look too good. Just develop our other knight. We could go... yeah, I think we'll just castle. Well, that one took me by surprise, I must admit. Not seen that before. I'm sure there's a correct way to play against it, but I don't know what it is. So this just looks like a normal developing move. I think do we want a better square for this bishop at some point? I think we probably do. D6, is that too conservative? It might be. Should we go C6 for D5? That looks okay. Let's do that. It doesn't give us a great spot for a knight then, but I think that's okay. That would leave us with an isolated d-pawn, but I think that's okay. Oh, yeah. Didn't see that coming. Really having a bad time playing at the moment. What do we do with this knight? Yeah, I think knight d5 is the only sensible move here. Opponent castles. Nothing doing. What if we stick that knight now on f4? It's a great square for it, but it's very easily kicked away, isn't it? I want to boot this pawn away, but I can't really. I'm very cramped now. I suppose I could just sacrifice this. Well, not sacrifice, exchange this pawn. Ugh, this is a horrid little position. I don't like it at all. He's just going to push it again, though. No, he won't. He'll lose it if he does that. I don't like things that I don't know. It upsets me. Because now black has got a very odd, awkward position. A nice open e-file that white has taken control of as well. just keep developing for now. I mean, the only thing that strikes me is our opponent's pawns look rubbish. They've got 7 pawns, still on the 2nd rank. Although they've got a D pawn and we don't. I just wonder if that is to our advantage. How can we use that? Because, okay, they bring the bishop back. So now their position is looking cramped. I'm just wondering about rook e1 ourselves now contesting that open file. I think that looks like a good move. Because now if they move that bishop, they're just losing their rook. What if they... yeah. They're going to have a little think about it now. I think the time has got to come to go either d3 or d4 to give this bishop somewhere to go, because at the moment it looks pretty sad. Okay, they do move the bishop. Are they planning a mating attack on h7? Not really, they're just going to lose... oh, they don't lose their rook. Of course they don't, because they've got their knight there. Do I want to put the knight back on... I think I do. It's a weird game, why not? And now I think our pieces are just better. I mean, this bishop is annoying, but we're ahead in development for sure. I mean, God knows what we do next. I think it's just about getting this knight out. Maybe d7, e5. Our knight's... that blocks the bishop though, so maybe c5. And just look to start putting pressure on the king. I mean, even knight f4 now. They can kick it though, quickly. Oh, no they can't. Well, they can. Yeah, let's just develop another piece for now. Yeah, okay, so they're looking to evict our bishop. What do we want to do with it? Do we want to bring it back to e6? Looks a bit awkward. h5 allows them to go g4, and then we're g6 with the bishop. The castle on the other side, and then, you know, wrecks our pawn structure a bit. Can't sacrifice it. I could... it's got to be e6, hasn't it? I don't love it, but it's okay. I mean, h7 wouldn't be terrible for it. If we can go... second we put it there, though, they're just going to exchange it off, aren't they? But I don't think that's bad, because again, our development lead is such. If we get the opportunity, I'm just going to swing the other rook to e1. Should I do that now and let them exchange? Yes. Take the bishop if you want, I'll take your knight. Your king side is wrecked, and my rook is in a great position to win your bishop. I think that just looks good. So, they're not going to take on h5 realistically, are they? Because that comes with check. There's no chance for them to evacuate their knight without losing their other rook. I think they've got to move that knight now. And if they do, it's going to have to be to f3, isn't it? Because if they pop it... no, they could pop it on g2 as well. They've got to defend that e1 square because of their poor development over here. Yeah, okay. So now we need to do something with our bishop. Or do we? We lose our bishop there. They double their pawns, open the g file, and in return we offer to take their bishop, doubling their d pawns. which gives them real problems getting their bishop out. I really like the look of that. Really like that. Okay, let's keep that tension over there. And blocks the open E file is the only problem with it. Removes that threat. We could do it the other way. C5. They could put their bishop there, but I don't think we're too bothered about that, because then we can just drop ours to G6. I think that looks quite good. Let's give that a go. This one, weird opening, turned out interesting though. Certainly did. So I was chatting with my son the other day, and he asked me if we were pyromaniacs. And I said, yes, we are, son. Hope you enjoyed that. Our opponent goes b6, probably looking to fianchetto their bishop, but we don't want them to do that, so let's mess up their pawns a bit, I think, here. So we take, they have to take here, or they're just losing material. Ah, no, actually that's brilliant, because let's just see, knight takes d3. If they take on h5, then we're taking on c1, so knight takes d3. They have, yeah, okay, I think that's good. There's no check they can deliver to break the pattern up, so let's go for that. Our opponent has spent, 10 seconds of their time here, so they're really, really not using their time at all. They'll probably still beat us, but I think with a little bit more thought, they might have seen that coming. So we'll drop our bishop back. It's pointing nicely at this weak d3 pawn now. It's going to be very, very tough for our opponent to defend that. And our position isn't phenomenal, but our development is better. I'm really threatening just to plop this rook on e1 and give them all sorts of problems if we can just take care of this knight. Okay, so bring their knight out, offering the trade, which would fix their pawns. I'd prefer, I think, let's think this through, I'd prefer to take on d3, would I? Which gives my bishop a great position. Allow them to take and then take back. Isolated d-pawn, but so does our opponent, so it's no additional weakness for us. Yeah, I think that's going to be our move. Nothing, they don't have a light square bishop to challenge us, no pawns to challenge us there. So take our knight if you want. So we've equalised back on material now. We lost that pawn in the odd opening that I've never seen before, but it actually ended up giving us a bit of a lead in development. 9 minutes on the clock, so I think we're reasonably happy with where we are at the moment. Yeah, they do take our knight, so I think the only move is to capture back here, surely. I suppose we could threaten their rook. It's only got one move then. No, hang on, but if rook d5, if bishop d5, bishop b2, trade. I know we don't trade, we just win, so they can't do that. So they just go rook b2, and then they can escape their knight. They can't. Do we want to do that first? Is that better square for our bishop? No, it feels quite safe here because they don't have a pawn that can challenge it, so I think we'll just take back. Yeah. Okay, so they're pointing down at g6, but I'm not overly worried about that at the moment. I just feel like I've got to get this rook now onto e2, don't I? I mean, that just looks like a fantastic place for it to be. Got to watch out for the back rank. So I want to go h6 first. It's not immediately under threat. Yeah, they attempt to kick it by popping there. Ah, that's a fork though, isn't it then? Yeah, okay, we don't want to do that right now. So how are we going to make this king? That square is covered. That square is covered. I mean, dropping the rook there is the play, but I'm just not quite ready for it yet. So, I want to bust our pawns on this side. I don't think so. Not overly keen on weakening my king side right now. I mean, I suppose if we go rook e2 and they go knight f4, we could just take, threatening their bishop and protecting our bishop at the same time. They could take our d pawn at that point, but then we take the bishop, and I think that's just winning. Okay, let's go for it. And if king f1, now that is blocked, we can just attack d2 with our rook, with delivering a check at the same time, and take the bishop on b2. So we're looking okay. And I say that with the usual sense of dread that the blundering bishop feels when he feels he's doing well in a game. Because usually what happens in these games is I feel like I'm behind. My opponent is actually behind by 3 or 4 points, and then I blunder and lose the end game. So I'm not. If I'm thinking I'm ahead, that presumably means that I'm actually losing badly. So what if our opponent goes rook to c1 here, threatening to deliver mate on c8? Do we just go h6 to defend that position? I think we probably do. I mean, it gives them the initiative back, so I think it's their move really that they have to make. Is there any mileage at all in sacrificing our bishop on h2? I do love to sacrifice pieces. So bishop h2, king takes h2. Not really. There's nothing in it, is there? Because then rook f2, and assuming they are on c1, they just win. So I don't think that's winning for us. I mean, actually, we've got the bishop on d6 that could defend f8 anyway, defending our king, but we might just be better giving our king an escape square. And if our opponent starts to bring their knight out to attack g7, which is attacked twice. Okay, our opponent actually resigned. Interesting. I don't think his position was that bad, to be honest, but we'll have a look. I don't think we had mate coming. I mean, it strikes me as an odd resignation, but you know, thanks for playing, and let's have a look at the game. So that opening, what on earth is that? Let me just turn the machine off for a minute so we can have a look. Turn the lines off for a minute. So e4, e5, and then go away. E4, e5, queen h5, the wayward queen attack. We played knight f6, which is not a winner because we lose that pawn, which I should have seen. So, what about... See, g6 has the same effect. What about just d6 here? Yeah, I mean, that looks more sensible, doesn't it? Because that just protects the pawn. What's our opponent going to do then? Something really bold. Engine says that's losing. Maybe just f3 to keep the position solid. No. Because why? Because why? don't know. So what's the line after this move that ends up losing for white? That's not it. How on earth do I attack this queen? I mean, that's surely what they've got me doing, is attacking the queen, right? I don't see it. G6, Queen H3. Oh, because it's the only safe square. Okay, yep. Thanks, engine. Bit embarrassed I couldn't figure that one out for myself. So okay, next time our opponent does something crazy with their queen, we'll just keep the position solid. So we went here, which I think wasn't the best move because we ended up losing that pawn. And then we offered the queen trades, which actually I probably regret. I probably should have gone bishop e7, because that just feels like I'm rewarding white for his play, and he's effectively getting to keep the pawn at that point. Yeah, I didn't love that in hindsight. And then just some developing moves. See, this push to the centre, probably a bit weak as well actually, because yeah, it didn't anticipate that that was going to happen, rather, and I was looking to put this pawn here, so actually that was a poor plan in hindsight. I think better would have been I mean, this is aggressive, but actually, can you take there? Isn't that just better for me? Yeah, I think that definitely wasn't the move. I think something aggressive into the centre there is probably the way to go, or rook e1. Just putting a bit more pressure on it, not sure. So we played that, not a good move. White castled, and we eventually got rid of that pawn. And from here, I thought we were doing okay, and I think our opponent's big problem was giving up that rook. I didn't love that at all. I just don't think that was a good move. Clearing that rook away, it's one of their best active pieces. It's on an open file. It's contested, but not particularly effectively. Yeah, I don't think that was a good move at all. Although apparently taking wasn't a good move either, so we'll have to have a look at that one when we switch the computer on. Why isn't it though? What could we have done differently here? I mean, we're ahead almost a piece at this point. Do we take... So if we take anything else, we lose the rook. Do we... I mean, sidestepping just looks so bad, giving up the control of that open file. I don't want to drop the knight back. I hate looking at backward knight moves. Yeah, I mean, that's just not a good move. So what was our plan if it wasn't that? I'm not bringing the bishop back. If I take the knight, I just lose my rook. King f8? Not a move that would have come to mind. No, and not a good move either. Don't know. Well, I'm sure that one will come up in our mistakes. I just thought taking looked really sensible here because it gets the knight back on the first rank. We've got a better development. Opponent's got 3 pieces tucked away here and no pawns advanced. Start to bring our knight out. They attack the bishop. We drop it back. And then here, this is the move I liked. I really enjoyed playing that move, and it's probably just an okay move, but it felt like the right thing to do. They decided to move their knight away, and then we kept up the attack. Oh, engine hates this move. Must be a tactic there that we're missing. So I assumed here our opponent would take... Oh, yeah, actually this is just a terrible mistake, isn't it? Because after... and then we're down a piece. So actually that for all my lauding of what a great idea that was a crap idea. Oh dear, we just didn't get punished for it, so that's nice. So yeah, that was a mistake, but our opponent didn't take advantage of it. And then after that, we were in a position to take advantage of their failure there. Brought the knight out, didn't really want to take it and let them undouble their pawns, so took the pawn instead, offering a trade of knights. Should we have taken the trade of knights though, and then just won the pawn back as well? I don't know, because after that I feel like it's quite even, whereas after this I just feel like we're better. I feel like black is better, got pawn in the centre, bishop's looking very dangerous around the king there, cutting off 2 escape squares, rook controlling the open e-file. I just think black is ahead here. But what should we have played to maintain the advantage? Nothing immediately springs to mind. Knight to b4. Yeah, okay. Why? Knight takes d3. Hitting the bishop with tempo. Well, it's not really, because it's covered, isn't it? It's when I look at lines like this that I realise how little I know, because I wouldn't have picked that in a million years as the best move for black. I really wouldn't. So after this we decided to take the pawn, white took our knight, we ended up here, and then this move, turn those off. Okay, I thought this was good. I think it's a good position for our rook, and that's where our opponent resigned. I mean, it's barely winning for black, so that was a surprising resignation, to be perfectly honest. I feel like our opponent was probably a bit premature there. Let's just have a look at our mistakes. Oh, 3 mistakes and a blunder. That's not good, is it? So queen e7. I think we've looked at that as a potential error anyway. So I guess this is the move. If we ever come across this again, don't trade the queens. And that puts black ahead slightly. Here we played rook takes e1, which the computer has as a blunder, because it thinks we could win a piece, more or less. So how on earth do we do that? So is it? Drop that. No, of course it's not, because that just loses our rook. So we lose our rook unless we do something with it. Just tuck it back into f8. It looks very passive. I mean, what a waste of a move. A knight to f6 shores up our bishop, and then if rook takes, knight takes, and then we're stuck with our knight on the back rank. Doesn't look very good either. I'm sure you're all shouting because you know exactly what the move is, but I don't. This knight. Where am I putting that knight? Okay, so moving that out protects the rook. And is a developing move and keeps pieces on the board. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Hadn't even crossed my mind. See, not seeing the whole board there at all, just focusing on this little problem here when I should be looking at a wider set. So that is definitely something I need to work on. Okay, here we play knight c5, which was a mistake because we've already looked at this, haven't we? It would have been simply losing a piece had white played correctly. So I think actually we've just got to escape with the bishop. So that was poor calculation on our part, because if you remember this position from the game, had white just taken, we wouldn't actually have been able to capture back, because then they would have captured and would have been down a piece. And our last mistake, bishop takes d3. Yeah, we just looked at this. I mean, don't see that move at all. Just really don't see it. And then a4. Yeah, just not seeing that. Okay, let's have a look at the report. We played with 90% accuracy. You know, 1 blunder, 3 mistakes, but that is a great accuracy finding good moves 90% of the time. I'm really happy with. Yeah, we were behind for a bit, but our opponent didn't capitalise on it, and so we returned to recording with a winning game, which is excellent news. Really enjoyed that one. Odd opening, but very enjoyable. So as ever, thanks for tuning in. I'm the Blundering Bishop. If you're enjoying